Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zainul Abidin. I'm counselor at Pakistan High Commission here in Canberra. I hope everybody can hear me. Yeah. The High Commission for Pakistan is organizing today's webinar on opportunities in Australia's engineering sector for Pakistani citizens. The purpose of today's webinar is to provide guidance about range of services and resources in Australia for engineers and engineering students, including information on career opportunities, industry trends, and professional development. In addition, our aim is to provide guidance to audience about seeking opportunities in Australia's engineering sector, including information on visas, work permits, and job opportunities. We are extremely grateful to all the participants and keynote speakers for accepting our invitation and help us educate the audience who reach out to us and seek guidance about the opportunities. We are overwhelmed by the response from the participants and the keynote speakers. Before we formally commence today's webinar, considering the number of speakers and the paucity of time, I would request all the speakers to confine their remarks to the allocated 5 minutes only. So at the beginning, we formally commence, and I would like to invite the High Commissioner, His Excellency Zahid Hafiz Chaudhry, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Hussain. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all of you. I'm grateful for your presentation and then your participation in today's webinar, especially all our panelists, including from Engineers Australia and Pakistan Australia Engineers Association. Today's webinar is part of the High Commission for Pakistan's initiatives called Opportunities Conference. And the purpose of Opportunities Conference, as my colleague also mentioned, is to apprise the Pakistani youth about the opportunities available in various sectors of the Australian economy. The first webinar of this series of webinars was held last month, and that was focused on the pharmaceutical sector of Australia. The webinar was attended by over 5,000 people live, including students and then trained pharmacists in Pakistan, and then also the universities providing pharmaceutical training in Pakistan. Pakistan and Australia, we enjoy extremely friendly and cooperative relations, and we understand that strong people-to-people linkages play an important role in further strengthening cooperation between the two countries. Engineering sector, as we understand, here in Australia is high in demand, and the strong demand is likely to persist over the next 5 to 10 years. In Pakistan, we have a surplus pool of high quality trained engineers, and we understand that employability of those high quality engineers in Australia can further lead to strengthening of cooperation between the two countries, and it could be a win-win situation for both of our countries. And let me also share with you that in Pakistan, we have over 200 engineering universities and educational institutions that provide undergraduate and graduate courses in the field of engineering in Pakistan. Currently, there are over 80,000 students enrolled in the engineering discipline across various universities and educational institutions in Pakistan. As per the Australian Bureau of Statistics, already over 11,000 Pakistani engineering professionals are employed in various sectors of the Australian economy. These professionals are very well respected for their high quality training and also for their professionalism. So with this, I would now invite the first speaker of our webinar today.
Yeah, our first speaker, or rather a group of speakers, will be delivering a presentation on guidance about a range of services and resources in Australia for engineers and engineering students, including information on career opportunities, industry trends, and professional development. I would like to invite Ms. Susan Kramer, General Manager, Western Australia Engineers Australia, Mr. Francis Dow, Manager, Assessments Engineers Australia, and Louis Field, Policy Advisor, Engineers Australia. Please.
Thank you so much. I'm now going to share my screen. So can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having us here today. We are really grateful for the opportunity to present to you, and my colleagues are delighted to be here as well. So I'd just like to acknowledge that I am speaking to you from Perth in Western Australia, and I meet on the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Quick introduction about Engineers Australia. We have been operating for more than 100 years, and the work of our organisation, along with our members, have underpinned the progress of the nation here in Australia. Our mission and vision for the future is to continue to advance the science and practice of engineering to benefit the community. Now, I will be able to make these slides available afterwards because we have put in some links for migrants to be able to contact us and regards membership. Our strategic priorities, we are here to be the trusted voice of the engineering profession. We wish to provide a professional home for life for engineers, uphold the professional standards of engineering, create tomorrow's engineers, and operate sustainably. We are based around the country, so we hope to be able to meet you in one of our 9 locations. We have an office in Adelaide and Darwin, Brisbane, Canberra, Hobart and Melbourne, and I've put pictures up there of all the general managers around the country, and then over to Newcastle, myself based in Perth and Sydney. I'm now going to hand over to Francis, who's going to take you through qualification and industry specific requirements in Australia. And Francis, please let me know when you would like me to change the slides.
Thank you, Susan. Yes, I'm Francis, and I'm the manager of the assessment, and I'm a chartered engineer in the mechanical and chemical discipline, and I've been working in the solar industry for more than 10 years, and with more than 15 years in R&D and product development. And that was my career before I joined Engineering Australia. Next slide, please, Susan. Today, I will talk to you about giving you a brief introductions on the stage 1 and MSA migration skill assessment. So basically, stage 1 entry to practice competency, we call it stage 1, is an international benchmark standard for accredited qualifications at the graduate level. And this is similar to the PEC Engineering Council, which they have Washington accredited degrees. So that's basically stage 1, the entry to practice graduate level. And the requirements for the assessment for migration purposes will be typically qualification accredited under Washington Accord, which is typically a 4-year Bachelor of Engineering degree, or Sydney Accord, a 3-year BTEC or B-Science degree with the occupation category of engineering technologist. And for those advanced diplomas recognized under Dublin Accord, we have the engineering category of engineering associate. Next slide, please, Susan. And apart from migration skill assessment, so we EA also has membership assessment, which is according to the same standard as well. If you hold an accredited qualification, there's no need to further demonstrate your entry to practice or stage 1 competency. Otherwise, if you hold a non-accredited qualification, you have to go through our competency demonstration report pathway, which typically you need to demonstrate the competency as a graduate level. So apart from this, the Department of Employment and Workplace Relationship is offering a free fast-track skill assessment for eligible candidates. And these candidates are normally holding a permanent resident visas, but on a humanitarian visas or partner visas. So there are all these links here in the slide, which you can go over and get into the details of each agreements and things like that. Susan, next slide, please. So after the entry to practice, we also the assessment we also hold the assessment for state registration, which is now required in Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. And other states we will require practicing engineer to register as well. And to become registered, you will need a minimum qualifications, which is on the right. Either is Washington accredited program. So at the moment, only professional engineers requires registration, or either successful migration skill assessment or a stage 1 competency assessment outcome. So both migration and stage 1 competency are assessed at the same level, entry to practice level, but one is for migration purposes and one is for membership purposes. And for registration for stage 2 competency elements, and in the NER in this case, there's 5 core areas to be assessed: for risk, ethical issues, practical practice competency, the local knowledge, as well as safe and sustainable solutions. So this competency assessment are carried out to assess on the stage 2 competency on NER on the registration. Next slide, please, Susan. So just mention the NER. It is a publicly searchable tool and database, and it is eligible for registration in Queensland, RPEQ Queensland, Victoria, and other states as well. Or there are different pathways to be registered NER. First, you have to pass the stage 2 assessment, chartered assessment, and you can automatically register on the NER. Or if you do not wish to be a member, please, if you do not wish to be a member, then you can go through the NER direct for assessment. So the NER direct assessment eligibility is stage 1 competent and 5 years of relevant engineering experience out of the last 10 years, and 4 years must be postgraduate. And similarly, the following 5 competency elements are to be assessed on risk, ethical issues, practice competency, local knowledge, safe and sustainable solutions. Next, please, Susan. So, and without going into the details of migration skill assessment, just a general summary, the engineering occupations for migration, and this is an official letter for migration to be accepted by the Department of Home Affairs. And these occupations and the roles and responsibility are defined by the ANSCO dictionary, published in the ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics, and it is an online application and assessment process. And a successful MSA candidate will be eligible for membership of EA, and about 15,000 applications we process each year. And assessment is carried out as stage 1 or entry to practice level. It is the same as graduate member with a common set of competencies. And there are some more additional services for the MSA, which is not mandatory. For example, overseas PhD in engineering, where applicants have to provide certified true copies of the degree, the thesis abstract, the transcripts if available, and the list of publications on list of examiners for the PhD, and also the relevant skill employment. Applicant has to provide evidence of employment showing the start and end dates of the employment, a statement of 5 duties, position title, and both secondary and primary documents are mandatory for the relevant skill assessment. Susan, if you can go skip the next 2 slides and go directly to the links.
So is that showing the link page, Francis?
I'm still on the state registration requirements.
Oh, I'm moving the slide, so I'm sorry. I'm moving the slides along, so I'm not sure what's happened. Okay.
That's all right. Anyway, in the presentation, there's different links to go into the details of different programs which I've mentioned, and feel free to click in there, and if there's reach out if there are any questions. And Louis, I'll hand over to Louis. Thank you.
All right, we're now at the MSA additional assessments slides. On my end, I will be providing a few insights on the current state of play in the engineering employment market. What I will give you is a short analysis of what has happened over the past year, so in 2022. Overall, in Australia, the current state of play is fairly strong. Australia's GDP has grown by 3.6% over the course of the financial year 2021 to 2022, and is expected to still keep on growing by 1.75% in 2022-2023. Amid all those global economic uncertainty, it is a fairly strong and robust type of year. If you could go back one slide before, that would be lovely. Thank you very much. When it comes to engineering vacancies, they have increased by 22% over the year 2022. And if we go back 2 years, you will see that it has grown up to 80%, making the engineering profession among the strongest professions in Australia. And this for a very simple reason. There are still some really strong engineering skill shortages across the nation. And these are mainly done by a really robust and ever increasing pipeline of infrastructure, defense, renewable energy, and the like pipeline. So there are great employment prospects in Australia, and we are looking for always more engineers. The domestic supply is won't be enough to be able to answer the demand. So we will certainly be looking for engineers, and engineers from Pakistan would certainly be more than welcome. Over to the next slide to give you just a quick overview over the past almost 2 decades. You can see that despite a little bit of a stagnation between 2013 to 2019 and a dip, unfortunately, due to mainly COVID and the global pandemic, we've seen a very strong rebound from 2020 all the way to 2022, and engineering profession in vacancies are showing to be even stronger than most of other professions. On the next slide, over the next past 24 months, as I said, there's been a very strong rise in vacancies for engineers, over 80% growth. And 2022 confirmed the really big growth and robust growth of 2021, and has now overtaken well past the all averaged Australian occupations, and are plateauing, but still with a certain growth. Over the next slide, you will see the different engineering occupation and where the major needs are. And we're no surprise that we see civil engineering being the strongest demand, followed by mainly the industrial, mechanical, and production engineers. Electrical engineers are also in clear high demand, as being the third major provider of engineering vacancies. Overall, it is definitely a strong demand. The next slide will allow you to understand more about where are those opportunities. In terms of growth, Queensland has been the best performing state, and it would come to no surprise that Queensland is ramping up for all the work it needs to welcome the world to the Olympics in 2032. In terms of pure numbers, New South Wales is the state offering the most amount of vacancies, followed by Queensland, then Western Australia, Victoria, and then South Australia, Tasmania, ACT, and the Northern Territory. And that will be pretty much it for me. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you're following the slides. Look, I've just put in a couple of slides here. We will provide the pack to you. But we've got migrant engineers. We're working very closely to try and make sure that we can support you as much as possible and build you into local networks. And we run, I'm just trying to get my slides to go forward. My apologies. The screen has gone to the side. But we do run events. So we're doing networking events for migrant engineers, and we have been working closely with a mentoring program in Western Australia where we team up local engineers with newcomers and make sure that we introduce them to our networks and help them find their way through Engineers Australia. And there was a lot to take in, so we will provide you with a copy of the slides, and you're welcome to contact us at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Now. Thank you, Susan, Francis, Lewis, for giving an overview of Engineers Australia, assessment pathways, documentary requirements for assessment, and analysis of the current state of play of the engineering market and vacancies. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Pat Arundel, General Manager, Chartered Assessment of Engineers Australia, to deliver a presentation on educational qualifications, degree equivalence, and test and registration requirements.
I'll just check that those slides are up.
Yes.
We've got the slides good. I'm going to flick through this fairly quickly, realizing we haven't got a lot of time and a lot of this has been covered already. So I just acknowledge the country, the elders past, present and future. I'm presenting from the Bunyarong country. This is already being covered, but we'll just reinforce the Washington Accord 4-year plus gives you a professional engineering recognition, the Sydney Accord, engineering technologist, and the Dublin Accord, engineering associate, which is what we refer to them in Australia, but internationally, they're generally referred to as engineering technicians. Francis already covered about the migration skills assessment, so we won't go over that. But the slides give you a little bit of information about those things. On the state-based registration, one of the things that's important to note here is this is extraterritorial. So that is, if you're sitting in Pakistan doing engineering work for Queensland or Victoria in particular, that you still need to be registered in those states. It's not about where you reside, and the same will apply for New South Wales for if you're doing work associated with building work. We'll give you a very quick snapshot of, and Francis alluded to this earlier, it's pathways here for non-members to come through a registration assessment, get a registration assessment outcome and be eligible for state-based registration. Or if you're a member of Engineers Australia, the pathways are quite similar, except that as a member, you can actually become chartered. Or if there's a relevant mutual recognition agreement, that can also give you a pathway through. The other thing about registration eligibility is once you've been assessed for registration eligibility, you still need to apply yourself for state-based registration. So it's chartered, NER, or just an eligibility assessment. You can download a registration eligibility letter. You will need to apply for state-based registration, and you will need to maintain your continuing professional development to maintain that that registration status. And that's it from me. So we'll stop sharing.
Thank you.
I believe that INSAF might be next, are you, INSAF?
Thank you, Pat, for your brief presentation. And thank you for joining us. Now, next, I would like to invite Mr. Insaf Khan, who is President, Pakistan Australia Engineers Association. And he will also be talking about educational qualification degree equivalence process via Engineers Australia. It's in South Khan. Mr. Insaf Khan, can you hear me?
Insaf, you're on mute.
Would you like to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. So thank you very much for inviting and for this webinar. And it's a good initiative from the High Commissioner of Pakistan. It's highly appreciated. And there are some things which have already been covered by Pat and by the other members of the Institute of Engineers. But there are certain things which I would like to highlight it for the new migrant engineers, which they have not covered in the things. I think applying for the, can you guys see my slide?
No, we can't.
You can't see the slide.
No.
I shared it.
We can see it now. That's
Okay.
great.
So for applying for the skill assessment, there is a 6-step process. First of all, check your qualification, understand the 4 engineering occupational categories, choose an assessment pathways, prepare your application, submit your application, and receive the outcome from the Institute of Engineers. So this is the guideline for the people who basically want to apply for that one. So I got limited time, so I think I'm not going to go step by step over there. The thing which I think important for the assessment pathways has been discussed by Institute of Engineers people. There are Australian qualification, Washington Accord, Dublin Accord, and Sydney Accord. For the people who are basically applying for the registration over here for the migration, it is very, very important to choose the right pathways and which is applicable to them. So I have given over here the assessment type and the pathways which should be selected by the people. So I'll be sharing these slides to you so you can go on these slides what pathway is suitable for all the engineers, because the time limitation is only 5 minutes. And also prepare your application. So there's a guideline from the Institute of Engineers Australia, and I have put in the link in for that. So you can basically go over there and get the guidelines how to prepare your migration skill assessment application. And if you got any problem, Pakistan Engineer Association is there to help you out. If you want to put an application, you want to submit it for our review, we can do that. So other thing is, if you go to the next slide, then I have given the minimum requirement for the English, because the major problem for the migrant engineer is the equivalence of in the requirement for the English. So there are various kind of the exams for IELTS, TOEFL, and PT, and there is a different rating in this slide. So you can basically see where do you stand and basically apply according to that. And then I have given us a comparison, because in the migration process, you got 10 marks for the efficient English and you got 20 marks for the superior English. So if you are better in English, I think you go for the superior English exam and you can score 20 marks over there. So that is another way of doing it. So when you submit the application, there is a migration skill assessment online. So you can go on this one, and there's a complete guidelines which give you how to basically prepare yourself, and you can submit online as for the skill assessment. Then when your assessment is completed, then you get a letter from the Institute of Engineers Engineer Australia that you are about your outcome, and you can use that outcome with your application for the migration. And I have put some useful link over there for the migration skill assessment, for migration skill assessment online, and how to prepare your migration skill assessment application. And there's a hyperlink over here for migration to Australia. This is also how you can migrate, which are the fields which are in demand at the moment. It might be electrical, mechanical, whatever field is, that they are highly in demand. So you can get the listing from there. So this is the slide where I want to put more emphasis, because some of the presenter before say that instead of engineers, that there are requirement of the various engineers in various fields. But because I am from the mining and infrastructure and construction side, there is an acute demand of the mining engineers, particularly in Mackay in Queensland. There are 3 or 4 mines are opening over there. And similarly in the construction industry, there's a high demand in New South Wales. So it is and also Pakistan Engineer Association can help the people in submitting their application for the assessment. And also we can also guide them if they can contact us, and we can share the link and we can share the contact number. And when you come to Australia and you are successful in migration, we can help you in providing the work experience, reviewing your CVs, organizing the mock interviews, and distributing your CV amongst the PE professional network. We got a quite good network of the various industries, and we are in existence from last 5 years, and we have placed many people into the industry. So we can help in that regard. And I think I will not take time because there are many presenters, so I will stick to the 5 minutes. Any question, please?
Thank you very much, Insaf Khan sir. Thank you very much for your detailed overview of the procedure for applying for the assessment to Engineers Australia. Our next speaker is Mr. Fawad Ahmed, who is the General Secretary in Pakistan Australia Engineers Association. He'll be presenting on the visa categories that engineers can apply for. Mr. Fawad Ahmed.
First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to join this group. It's a prestigious forum. I know we all are pressed for time, so what I did was I've just opened up some web pages that I'll quickly walk you guys through to understand what visa categories skilled people can use to migrate to Australia. So I'm going to share my screen, so give me 1 second, sorry, and number 2, that's the one. I hope you guys can see the screen now.
No. Yes, we can.
Great. So as we know, there's different classes that our engineers can use to migrate to Australia. I've picked up a few. First of all, this information, as you can see, is taken from the government Department of Home Affairs. So anyone who wants to get into details, I think I highly recommend you go to this website and then get information direct from it. Then there is some migration agents that can help people who want to migrate to this country. So I'll be just giving a high-level overview of what the different types are and how they can help people moving to Australia. So the first one I've got on my list is it's called subclass 189. It's skilled independent visa. So as it says, it's for people who are invited, the invited workers, eligible New Zealand citizens, and Hong Kong people, passport holders. Now you need to have those skills in Australia available to be able to use this visa option. There's 3 streams for it. There's points tested, New Zealand stream and Hong Kong stream. I think one of the streams is closed, which is the New Zealand one. The cost is about $4,000. And the time taken is anywhere between 82 days to 3 months. To jump on the next one, the next category, I'm sorry, I have to skim through these because I can't go in detail. So you just have to bear with me, sorry. So this one is subclass 190, which is the skilled nominated visa. And it lets nominated skilled workers live and work in Australia as permanent residents. So it's a strong visa here. The stay is permanent. The cost is again just slight over $4,000, and your processing times could be anywhere between 87 days to 36 months. So the thing is, you guys need to be on the occupation list, and this list gets revised every now and then. So if I was applying for this visa, I'd go to that list, find the occupation that I can serve or add value towards, and then I'll go for this visa if I've got those skills. The next one, now the challenge is that my tab is hidden. Sorry. Okay, now I've got this subclass 489, which is skilled regional provisional visa. This is for the skilled workers who want to live and work in regional Australia. We can bring our family as well. And if we are given this visa, we can apply for skilled regional permanent visa after that as well. So it could be a bridging visa towards the permanent category. And again, we can see there's 3 streams here, the invited pathway, extended, and subsequent entry pathway. The cost is almost the same as other ones, just about 4,300, 4,240. Processing times could be anywhere between 38 months to 42. But I think new applications, as the website says, are closed for the time being. So we just have to keep an eye when they get open. Next one I have got on the list is subclass 186. That's the employer nomination scheme visa. So as it says, you must have the necessary skills for the job, which is a given. You must be nominated by an Australian employer. So the employer has to sponsor you, the way it looks like. And we must meet their health and character requirements. Again, there's different streams that we can utilize. There's a direct stream, there's labor agreement, and there's temporary residence. Engineers using this visa type need to go through a criteria and find the stream that best suits their skills. The cost is very much the same. It's about 4,240. And processing times vary, but you can get it, the maximum it says is 18 months. So if the employer, it looks like the employer sponsors you, so you can be in Australia within a year to 18 months time. Second last option I've got is called the subclass 187, regional sponsored migration scheme visa. There's 2 streams to it, the direct entry stream, and there's a temporary one. They both allow you to stay permanently. The cost is the same, and there's the processing times. As I said before, whoever is applying for these visas need to pick a list down their skills, how they can add value, and pick the visa that suits best to their skill set. The last I've got in my list is 491. It's the skilled work regional visa, it's called. Eligibility, you can see here, it has to be nominated to apply by a state or territory government agency, or some relative can sponsor you as well. So have an occupation, again, it goes back to the skilled occupation list. So we need to look into the skilled occupation list. If you click the box, then we can apply for this one. We have to have the relevant skills and they have to be assessed. And you are invited. We are invited to apply, whoever is doing it. There's 2 streams to it. Cost very much similar, and the processing times as well. As I said before, it's too much to take in 5 minutes. I can only give you advice that please go to this website, which I have shown you. It's the Department of Home Affairs, Immigration and Citizenship, and it has got all the details in it. And if still you're not sure, I would recommend contacting some immigrant lawyers or agencies. There's a few good lawyers here, and I think these guys can guide you as well. And I'm pretty sure they've got offices overseas as well, in Pakistan or wherever the engineers reside. So I think that was a very quick rundown on what the visa categories are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fuad Ahmed, for a detailed overview of different visa categories which are available to engineering graduates in Pakistan. Now I would like to invite Mr. Imran Kasser, who is a senior civil engineer in Department of Transport of Queensland, to present on opportunities in Australia for Pakistani engineers, positive experiences, issues, and benefits.
Thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
And you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So as an introduction, my name is Imran. I'm working as a senior engineer in infrastructure field. I'm working on a major project, which is Centenary Bridge project, which involves the construction of a new bridge. And, so like I've got exposure in infrastructure stream. Why Australia is best right now, as a lot of people have already covered it. This is the best time, a lot of opportunities available, lot of investment is being invested into engineering sector, resource sector. And, money is one thing, but another thing, like a lot of people covered, like, Australia is Australia's got less resources now, because you could see, the immigration process was being held due to the COVID. So right now we have got a lot of opportunities. So this is the best opportunity right now to enter into Australian market. Yep. So as I mentioned, like a lot of jobs available. My experience over the last 20 years, a lot of Pakistanis working in all the streams, different streams, even in leadership positions. The good thing is a lot of networking opportunities are available. As you could see from the previous presenters, like everyone is trying to help everyone. And there is a very positive atmosphere amongst everyone. Like we have got Facebook groups, we have got Telegram networks. We try to help each other. In the last few days, I've helped about 7 to 8 engineers, help them with resume, help them with advice, So like the main gist of the thing is like, it's a very friendly atmosphere and everyone is trying to help new engineers. I would like to give a bit of background, like, what are the problems as well, like when they come here. Like you could imagine like a young engineer, first time leaving his family, it can be a problem as a working as an individual and, coming into new society. The culture is a bit different, the laws are a bit different, the process are a bit different. There's a bit of, difficulty in having the social cohesion at the very start. Then, what about the awareness of Australian markets? How does the Australian standards work? What about the job requirements? So I would say, like, try to get in contact with an experienced person. For example, one of the engineers which I guided in the last few days, he was struggling where to find the local government jobs. And he was going from one website to another website to another website. And I said, why don't you go to a website which is called LGSS website. You just go there, all the local government websites all across Australia, just in one click. And, so that what I'm trying to say is, like, try to connect. When you're here, try to connect with experienced people. They have been through that process, and one experience or a good advice could definitely help you. Another thing is, like, when you come and you apply for public jobs, like public sector job. As I work for public sector, you have to write a selection criteria, which no one would have written in Pakistan. So that was something new for me as well. So like when you come here, we can help you with that one. Now, what are the benefits? Why should you come to Australia? It's not just money. It's about like working in an international market, international standards. What about the Australian standard and process? Like, you work here, and then you get exposure to Australian standards, specification, process, safety, compliance, quality standards. In terms of engineering, it is more or less same, even in Pakistan, Iraq, Bangladesh, whatever it is. But what I feel in Australia, one thing you get a lot of good exposure is contract management, environmental compliances policies, safety compliances policies, like, you work on quality standards, like working on ITPs. And so you get a very good exposure. And then, there's a plus point, you work in an Australian market, and after 4 years of your PR, you get your Australian passport. And once you get passport, you can go anywhere in the world, and, you can work anywhere. So, yep. So yeah, that's very much about it. So the gist of the story is, like, a lot of opportunities are available. Engineering opportunities are there. People are there to help you. Seniors are there to help you. So, take the opportunity, get the guidance, apply for immigration. And this is once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'll be happy to share these slides. I'll be happy to answer any question. And at the end, I would like to thank the representative from Pakistan High Commission. It's a very great initiative from their side, and it's highly appreciated. So thanks a lot.
For briefing us on opportunities in Australia. Our next guest speaker is Charlie Rizk, who is the Managing Director in Site Op Construction Company. So he'll be talking about expectation of construction industry from the new and migrant engineers.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for inviting me today to present to you guys. I'm going to share my screen now, just a little brief slide about the expectations of the engineers and site engineers and employees within the construction industry. Can you guys see that? Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so just a quick agenda. It's just going to be about the key attributes, expectations, workplace goals, just about how what the expectation would be of new engineers coming to Australia, what construction companies would expect of them, and what engineering firms, I guess, are similar in the similar industry would expect of them as well. I'll give you a brief background about Sitecorp. So we do residential commercial developments throughout Sydney. And we've been exposed to a lot of engineers, site engineers, structural, electrical, hydraulic. A lot of people work within our company and obviously work with our company to deliver projects across Sydney. I feel like these are the top 5 sort of industry expectations. So the first one would be anyone that comes to work for us or comes from Pakistan to Australia to work. Professionalism is probably one of the top things that, you know, we really need from our engineers. Present yourself in a professional manner. Communication is obviously a very big one, and I think INSAF touched on it previously, just in relation to, I guess, speaking English and being able to read and write, and then just effective communication, personal skills in and out of the office. Being able to work in a team. So obviously in construction industries and engineering firms, it's more than just 1 or 2 people. Some of these engineering firms have 100 people. Just being able to adapt and work with other people. And I think working in a collaborative space will actually help those international engineers to understand how other people work around them. Dedication, obviously, in this industry now, there's there's a little bit of a shortage of people. So the people that we do employ, they need to be dedicated to the project. They need to want to work. They need to want to learn. And I think anyone that comes from Pakistan to Australia to work would and should show a high level of dedication to their employee. And obviously reliability. This is probably a big one as well, that whoever comes and works in the industry is reliable, will come to work, will do what they need to do understand the standards and what they need to, you know, the expectation of the workforce. So they're the industry expectations. And these are just a few key attributes that we feel that anyone that comes to work in Australia does need to have. Positive attitude, critical thinking, willingness to learn, work ethic, and leadership skills. So these are not only, I guess, for, you know, Pakistani people that come to Australia to work, but it's for everyone. And these are the key attributes that I feel that in the construction industry and in the engineering industry, employees need to have at all times. The next one here is workplace goals. So obviously, understanding your workplace. Once you understand your workplace, where you're working, what you're doing, and once they've got their head around their actual workplace, they'll build relationships. And then once they've understood their workplace, they've built that relationship in a team or in their team, they would go on to excel in that company. So that's how I feel the goals will be met. And I've kept it brief. There's just one little saying or quote that I've got from Michael Jordan. It says, "I never feared about my skills because I put in the work. Work ethic eliminates fear." So as long as whoever's working with you or for you has a good work ethic, I feel that they'd be able to be successful within Australia. Work ethic is probably one of the biggest things. Obviously, everyone's going to be qualified and have the appropriate qualifications, but I think work ethic here distinguishes the good from the great and the great from the best. It's one more slide. And just a bit of a summary that so there isn't a shortage of talents in today's scenario. There's a lot of talent in Australia. Every person has a better skill set than the next. Hiring has become highly complex and competitive, so to say the least. So you must adhere to the industry expectations and really display key attributes that stand out. Remember, an ideal employee would be one who fits into the company culture and the core values of the organization. So just in summary, it's not only the qualification, but we also need these employees to fit in with the work ethic, the company culture, the core values of the company, and I think that's very, very important nowadays, especially in the companies in the construction industry and engineering industry. And I think that's about it. I've kept it quite brief, but just wanted to give you an overview on the expectation of what we would want from these employees, apart from the qualification. There's a little bit more to it when you come and work in Australia, to work within a company, work with other people, and understand, what's expected of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
You being the last guest speaker. So at the end of it, I would like the High Commissioner, His Excellency Hafiz Chaudhry, to conclude today's meeting.
Thank you, Zen. And I wish to thank all the speakers, all the panelists for their very valuable contribution. And I also wish to particularly thank Engineers Australia and Pakistan Australia Engineers Association for their partnership with the High Commission for Pakistan in organizing this webinar. We heard firsthand from the industry people about the strong demand in the engineering sector. As we heard from one of the speakers, 80% growth in jobs in the engineering sector over the past 24 months. We also heard about the qualification requirement and the registration requirement, and then how to apply for jobs in the engineering sector in Australia. Fuad explained very well the visa categories under which one can apply, and of course further information is available on the Australian government's website for that. And then we also heard about the industry expectations. I think that is very important. As I mentioned earlier, currently there are over 11,000 Pakistani engineers employed in various sectors of the Australian economy in the engineering field. And all of them, they have earned good name for themselves. And that is because of their high quality training and also because of their professionalism and work ethics. One very important issue that one of our speakers mentioned is the settlement issues when you arrive in Australia. So I feel pleased to share that now we have a strong Pakistani diaspora here in Australia. We have over 100,000 Pakistani Australians currently in Australia, and it's a diaspora of high achievers. We have people in the medicine profession, in the engineering profession, IT, entrepreneurs, and the community, the Pakistani diaspora. They are not only growing in their numbers, but they are also growing in their influence in the Australian economy and in the Australian society overall. So I must say that the Pakistani groups here are very helpful when you arrive here and then during the process of your settlement. Now, some of this information that our speakers have shared will remain available on the High Commission for Pakistan's website, on our YouTube channel, and also on our Facebook pages. So with this, I once again thank all our panelists who have been extremely helpful in sharing very valuable information. Thank you so very much again. And we look forward to our next webinar that will be on the computer sciences and information technology. Thank you very much again.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Well done.